What's up, everyone? This is Kronos, aka Adam, back with another AEW Weekend Review 468, my lucky number 8. As always, I review and recap everything that happened in AEW from BTE to Dark to Dynamite. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Social media stuff is down there. As always, no one's watching, just me, and liking my own videos. It is what it is. So I'm gonna go jump right into it. Still gotta get rid of the glare on my glasses, but what are you gonna do? So we start off with BTE, which actually hit a little close to home, and I'll explain why. The episode is entitled Colonoscopy. I'll talk about that. So we start off with the Colt Cabana bit of the week. He starts giving his own stats, but he can't really understand everything. He's got Chris Harrington helping him, who's the vice president that we know we've seen a couple times now. And now the bit is that Harrington, who doesn't look like much of a tough guy, scares the shit out of Kenny Omega. Probably because of the fact that he is, he's a VP, and also because Kenny likes to just joke around. So Kenny's actually next to them while it's going on. He's not happy, but he clearly can't argue with Harrington, since Harrington, I guess, has seniority over him. He threatens to get him off Dynamite. Kenny threatens to get Cole off Dynamite now too, because he's so frustrated. Hold on, I gotta fix this camera. Okay, I think I made that worse. Alright. So we then go to the best friends. They still can't think of a bit for BTE when Cutler comes up and really asks them for it. They all run off. Cassidy just kind of slowly slinks away with his character. We then get a shot of the Bucks from 2 weeks ago, so they can see someone's hand off camera. So they're talking, and all of a sudden they talk about the word rib. Matt Hardy comes into frame, and he describes what a rib is, obviously being a joke or some kind of bit that involves making fun of people. And then while he's doing his Broken Brilliance definition, they do the kind of like Zach Morris timeout freeze frame thing. We get a recap of the Stadium Stampede again. Then we get Christopher Daniels. He's at home. He's a little loopy on drugs. And as the oldest member of the BTE cast, he explains why, that he had to get a colonoscopy. Goes through a lot of the details of it. As someone who's had multiple colonoscopies due to my ulcerative colitis, I can attest that it's not a fun thing, whether it's the prep, the actual... You're unconscious when they do the procedure itself, but like you still feel weird afterwards. You still feel loopy afterwards from the anesthesia and just the overall uncomfortable feeling. And the prep is actually the worst part, basically, because they just have you basically clear out your entire system with different kinds of laxatives and stuff. It sucks. So he kind of goes over it and why he had to do it. Apparently he had some polyps, but they were able to burn them off. They weren't anything serious, I guess. I'm assuming they did a biopsy on them as well. All good. I'm glad to hear that for Christopher Daniels, obviously, as an older member of the cast, and as someone who has gone through it. The last thing you ever want to hear about is any kind of illness befalling somebody, especially when it's something that you yourself have endured. So I'm happy to hear that he's doing well. So we get a look at this week's past Dynamite. Obviously, I recapped it in my previous video, but we get Cutler's version of it from while he's filming, which is pretty cool. Kind of like just not a hard cam, not the actual cams themselves, but like the Cutler cam, I was calling it. And he's watching the tag team title match between Kenny and Hangman Page versus Kip and Jimmy Havoc, which was a pretty fun match. So we get Alex Abrahantes, I think his last name is. He's the guy who does the usual the Boningo fortune teller bit. So he's teaching. They're doing a bit teaching everyone Spanglish using the help of Santana and Ortiz. They go through Botella, which is a bottle. It's kind of funny, and I think they also use it to mean like a pretty woman or something, or the body of a woman. We then get a shot of Brandon Cutler talking about he got new custom dice. Obviously, he's a player of Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games, and a tetrahedron, I think it is. sided die, which is a 20-sided die. He has one that he uses and he rolls at the beginning of every match. The problem was it was very small and the cameras couldn't pick it up. So he had this company do a kind of a really cool custom giant 20-sided die, which is pretty cool. We get the best friends again, thinking of a bit at the stadium. Trent thinks of stuff, but they're just all either Hangman's ideas or things that Hangman's already doing. We get Matt working out, and he gets a Zoom call. Matt Jackson, not Matt Hardy, gets a Zoom call, but he wants to get out of it. So he doesn't know where his blade is, because the usual bit now is he's blading himself to try to get out of all the different whatever his responsibilities are. So we get kind of a montage of things that he wants to do. Tries to do it, but he just hurts himself. He smashes his head into Legos finally, and then Cutler and Nick get on the call, and Matt is able to get out of it, and he's kind of just relaxing in the hammock. And that's how we go off the air. So Matt is loving the new gig to just blade himself or gig himself, however you want to call it. Once again, nothing too storyline driven there. Obviously, Christopher Daniels getting the colonoscopy. I don't know if that'll take him out. Probably not, because you're usually up and running pretty quickly there. But yeah, that's about it. We then go to AEW Dark, another action-packed episode of Dark. I think it was about an hour and a half today. Very significant match, and I'll explain that. So we now get Alan Angels, who I have talked about a bunch. He had that great match with Kenny Omega, and he's been kind of like one of the stars of the enhancing talent, him and Lee Johnson. And I had said I really liked his work, and I was hoping that they had something for him, and it turns out they do. He is now number 5 member of the Dark Order. So we get that at the top of the episode. Our first match is Lowrider and Fuego del Sol versus SCU. Del Sol hits a butterfly suplex and a standing shooting star press, I believe, on Kazarian for a 2 count. Ryder hits a springboard missile drop kick for a 2 count. Scorpio Sky gets the hot tag to Kaz. He cleans house. Does a toss neck breaker. Hip toss neck breaker by Kaz. Then they eventually hit the SCU later for the win. Quick match. Whoop. Let's see here. That is the weather. I got a weather alert that it's really freaking hot. Lee Johnson versus number 5. So now, obviously I've been saying they've tagged together, but now Lee Johnson, Alan Angels is now number 5. We get a backstage promo of Alan Angels joining the Dark Order. We get Alex Reynolds and Silver with 10 in a sling. He's got a mask. He's got new gear. He goes after Lee right at the bell. He's knocked. 5 is knocked to the outside on the ramp, and Dark Order looks on. They just kind of like stare really kind of stoically, I guess you'd say. He ends up throwing Lee off the ramp into a ring post. He goes for the injured arm, shoulder as the result of hitting the ring post. Does a kind of like an attitude adjustment, a variation for a 2 count. And then Lee hits kind of like what Swerve does, the house call kick. He then posts number 5. Lee hits a tope con hero. There's a blue thunder bomb by Lee, but he only for a 2 count. Does Alan Angels or number 5 does a reverse Widow's Bell, kind of the draping DDT. Brody Lee then comes out, kind of looking on, and then he does this kind of like boots to the spine, kind of like a reverse Kamagoya for the win. Lee is thrown into a pump kick by number 10 as the Dark Order comes into the ring. There's a double blockbuster by Reynolds and Silver. And then they just leave Lee kind of beaten and broken there. Our next match is Musa and Brady Pierce versus Santana Ortiz. Brady Pierce is another guy that I said that he has a great look to him. He's big. He's a good-looking guy. He looks like he's really fit. He does wear some weird boots. I think they're either like red. He has really gold ones. So apparently Musa was in Tyson's entourage when they were on Dynamite, they mentioned. I don't know if that was for any other reason than just to give him a little more screen time. Ortiz with control, and he bites Musa's hand. Ortiz does a sit-down powerbomb, and then sends that into a kick by Santana. Santana hits a moonsault to the outside on both of them. They do a stomp kind of cutter combination. Brady, this is all on Musa. Brady is like saying he wants to get in. He's kind of like talking really tough. He wants to get in, show them what he can do. So Santana throws Musa into Brady's corner, so he tags him, and then Santana just goes to work on him. Ortiz goes for Brady goes for a second rope moonsault, misses on Ortiz. There's a cannonball senton from Santana on both that were in the corner. They hit the street sweeper on Musa and onto Brady for the win. We then get QT Marshall can't wait to show Dustin and Brandy something. So then they come into frame. They thought it was a tag match. QT says no. Ali told him that Dustin is a legend, that shouldn't have to wrestle every week, that he should, he's a star, he needs to wrestle more. And Dustin's like, I got painted up for nothing. So apparently Ali made new shirts for them. And Brandy goes, who the fuck is this for? The shirt is like literally like triple XL for her. QT says it's important to him and wants them to support him. I'm getting pushed aside and by my dog. She wants some attention. We then get our next match is Pineapple Pete and Anthony Katina versus Butcher and the Blade. Butcher and the Blade dominate Pineapple Pete really early on. Taz is making fun of Pineapple Pete's physique, saying that he should wear something more than just the trunks. Pineapple Pete then does kind of like karate kick, crane kick. It's counted into a fisherman neck breaker by Blade. Butcher with the running power slam on Katina. Pineapple Pete breaks the count. She just went on the floor. And then there's kind of like they go for their finisher, which is like the kind of almost like back body drop. What do you call it? Code breaker or backstabber. But they kind of botched it, but they still get the win. Butcher and the Blade. We then get Zach Clayton versus QT Marshall. If you don't know who Zach Clayton is, he also goes by the name of 24 as JWoww's boyfriend on the Jersey Shore. I do watch the Jersey Shore. I don't know if they're still together, though. I know as of the last episode, which was yesterday, I'm filming this on Friday, so it was Angelina's wedding. They have been broken up for several months now. But, he's wanted to be involved in wrestling. He was actually in the front row at All In. I remember because I saw JWoww there, and I didn't know who she was with, but I just thought it was weird that JWoww was in the front row. And he's mentioned it before, and he was also in Chris Jericho's Entourage when they were breaking him and Tyson up, so you had seen him there. Anyway, I digress. Ali is out with QT. Dustin and Brandy reluctantly come out, and they're wearing the shirts. Ali comes to commentary, talking about how good his hair looks, and how he's got it on the diet. So what do you call it? QT clotheslines Clayton out of the ring, and then he skins the cat back in. Tries to go for a springboard back into the ring, but Zach gets him with a drop kick. Ali goes to him from commentary, but Zach beats up QT and tells Ali to go away. Taz mentions Zach and JWoww. Zach with the stalling suplex, handspring, Gamagori kick by QT, a snap power slam by Zach for a 2 count. Zach goes to remove the turnbuckle pad. Brandy goes up to confront him. QT hits Zach and goes into Brandy, who falls on Dustin. QT with the backbreaker, flatliner combo. Goes to ask if Brandy's okay. Then Ali starts screaming that she's hurt. So, of course, he runs out and tries to check on her, saying that she broke a nail or something, but she's actually fine. Zach goes to the top, and Ali grabs his ankle while QT's back in the ring. That's enough of a distraction for QT to get the QT cutter from the top rope for the win. Dustin goes to celebrate, and he kind of ducks and goes right to Ali to celebrate. So you know where this is going. I don't know why. I mean, it's kind of weird that they made them like the second ranked, but now they're already going to kind of break them up. So it's kind of weird what they're doing here. Obviously 2 other teams have gotten tag team title matches before them, and Best Friends are 1 and they are 2. So it's kind of odd the way they do that, but I've already explained my thought process on that. We then get Sonny Kiss versus Christopher Daniels. Obviously, we mentioned Christopher Daniels getting the colonoscopy. I don't know if that was before or after this. However, this is one of the few matches where they're actually AEW signed roster members. Sonny hits a springboard arm drag, Casadora arm drag, lots of arm drags on Christopher Daniels. He's getting very frustrated because he keeps getting caught in these arm drags. CD finally gets an exploder suplex. He's becoming more aggressive, you could tell. Does his STO into a crossface, and then Sonny gets to the ropes. While he's in his frustration, he starts to yell at Aubrey Edwards. Eventually, he apologizes because he can see himself, getting a little crazy. He gives Sonny a chance, which gives Sonny a chance to take advantage of the match. He hits a standing moonsault for a 2 count. He does a spinning hook kick and puts CD down. CD eventually hits the Angel's Wings for the win. All right, so then we got the tag team of Cutler and Avalon versus Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt of Jurassic Express. Obviously, Jungle Boy's out with them. Avalon tries to kick Cutler's die while they're doing their entrance. Marco Stunt rocking Lucha's shin pads, which they kind of look like chaps, and that was kind of being made fun of throughout the match. There's a ripcord chop by Luchasaurus on Avalon, which is pretty brutal. Cutler, with some offense, attempts to springboard in, but gets chopped out of the sky by Luchasaurus. There's a thrust kick by Luchasaurus for a 2 count. Wheelbarrow suplex by Lucha on Cutler. Marco Stunt dropped on Cutler for a 2 count. We get Marco Stunt distracted by Leva Bates because, as you remember, they kissed last week. And then he gets tossed out. Cutler with Stunt, he puts Stunt in the torture rack, which is pretty funny. Cutler presses Stunt, countered into a Rana. Stunt hits a tilt-a-whirl DDT on Avalon, gets the hot tag to Luchasaurus, who just manhandles everybody. He hits his extinction level event on Avalon, and then Cutler and Avalon begin to fight. Both kick Luchasaurus. Stunt tries to go for a crossbody. They catch him and toss, but they toss him right into Luchasaurus, who catches him and then tosses him right back at them. There's a splash by Stunt on Luchasaurus' shoulder, or off of Luchasaurus' shoulders. Luchasaurus' shoulders. Try saying that 3 times fast. For a 2 count. Does a Casadora combo attempt, but Avalon super kicks Stunt. There's a swinging DDT by Avalon on Luchasaurus for a 2 count. Sunset flip powerbomb by Avalon for a 2 count. Lucha hits a kip up and then flip kicks on both of them. A question mark kick on Luchasaurus by Luchasaurus on Avalon, and then they do an assisted choke slam because Marco Stunt wants to do the choke slam, so they do it on Avalon for the win. And then the most significant match that we've had on AEW Dark in a while, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley actually graced the show with his presence against Robert Anthony. Brian Cage comes out to commentary, just stands behind them though. He doesn't sit down, doesn't really talk. Taz says he'll teach Cage anything he needs to know on how to beat Mox. Moxley displaying a lot of more technique in the ring during this match. Definitely to the detriment of himself because he let Robert Anthony hang around a lot. I think that's what he was kind of, I guess he knew that Cage was watching and he wanted to show, that he can be just more than kind of a brawler. There's a suicide dive to the outside. He no-sells a high five from Marco Stunt, who's on the outside trying to give him a high five. He does 2 dragon screw leg whips on Robert Anthony, does an X-plex, goes for the figure 4 against the post, or around the post. Anthony eventually mounts some offense, gets a reverse gut wrench. He attempts a surfboard, but he can't get to it because his knees were damaged during the figure 4, and slams Mox to the ring. Death Valley driver for a 2 count by Anthony. Pause in air with so he's going to the top rope, kind of the pauses in the midair. Is going to go for a Rana. It's countered into a powerbomb. Face plant by Mox for a 2 count, and then eventually Mox puts him in the Texas Cloverleaf and wins via submission. So that is everything that happened on AEW Dark. Obviously, they're obviously 24 got his first match. They're continuing the feud with Avalon and Cutler of who's going to get the win first. I'm waiting for them to just decide to have a match with each other. I guess they're saving that for something, maybe Fyter Fest even. That would be kind of funny. Obviously, Alan Angels joined the ranks of the Dark Order, so now it's not just, we have a little more of insight into who these people are. So now we got Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, Silver Reynolds, 10 and 5. They were 8 and 9, I think 7 and 6. They were kind of just jobber stuff. So anyway, and now to the big show, and not Paul White. We are at AEW Dynamite. So we have a shot of the Rolls Royce. Actually like printed on the cart now. It's not just a sign for Britt Baker. Jericho's back on commentary. We get the return of Justin Roberts to ring announcing. Not that Dasha Gonzalez was bad. It's just that Justin Roberts is like the golden throat. So we start off with a big match to start off. We get Butcher and the Blade versus FTR. FTR's debut in AEW. They do their entrance showing up in the classic truck. They kind of have a similar theme music to what they did when they were the Revival. Kind of interesting. There we go. That's a little better. So we get Tully, Arn, Jake. They're all in the audience. They're all kind of scouting. Some of them are taking notes. Dax Harwood, who I believe is... Oh, you know what? Because I'm going to forget. Harwood is Scott Dawson. So we got... Yeah, so that's Scott Dawson, who's the bald one. So Dax, with quick pin attempts on the Blade. They're doing quick tags, FTR to isolate Blade. Cash, which was Scott and Dash Wilder. So Cash is Dash. With the power slam on Blade. Brainbuster by Dax on Blade. Double Willow's Bell on Butcher. Finally he gets in. Superplex splash combo for a 2 count on the Blade. The Goodnight Express, which they call the Shatter Machine, on the Butcher. And then they do the Mindbreaker, which is the assisted pile driver, spike pile driver on Blade for the win. So FTR gets their first win. Good match, solid match. They said exactly what they were going to do. It's not going to be flips and a lot of spot monkey stuff. They just, all hands, fists, kicks. That's what they do. So Tony Schiavone comes into the ring for a post-ring interview. The Bucks come out right away. They congratulate them on the win. And thank them for helping them out, but they said that Matt says that they failed to introduce themselves last week. So Matt says, we're, the Young Bucks were the best tag team for the last decade. Goes over their bona fides, and then Butcher attacks the Bucks, and then Kip and Jimmy Havoc come out to on the attack as well. Then Kenny and Paige come out, and Paige doesn't really do anything because he's got a drink in his head, and they're all kind of like, kind of trying to. The faces and FTR, I guess the Elite and FTR kind of standing tall, kind of looking at each other, kind of trying to figure, each other out and see what ends up happening there. I like this. I liked FTR's match. I think, they're a solid tag team. They're one of the best. And what's his name? Paige coming out with a drink, classic. I don't think they're going to be inserted into the tag team title situation yet. I think they're going to just, be fighting all the different tag teams, kind of raise them up a little bit. And I think they should save their match with the Bucks till All Out in September, I hope. I think to give it away at Fyter Fest would be too soon. Build it up a little more, build up the rivalry. That would just be my thought. Backstage interview with the Natural Nightmares, QT and Dustin, coming off of what we saw in Dark. So they're going to face Kenny and Paige for the tag team titles. Apparently, once again, another tag team. So eventually they are getting the tag team title shot. Brandon is wondering why Allie is wearing the family's jacket, with the family insignias and whatnot. Dustin gets real with QT, kind of just telling him, what's going on here? Why are you doing this? Yada, yada, yada. Just making sure I'm still recording. Yep. So Dustin says that Allie won't be at ringside next week. And kind of puts his foot down, so we'll see how that happens. I didn't say Bixby.
I didn't understand that.
Well, that's because I didn't say Bixby, bitch. Get out of here. Get out of here. Alright, so then we get a tag team match. Penelope Ford, Nyla Rose against Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander. Statlander boops everyone outside. Jericho hopes she gets knocked out by she knocked out Pineapple Pete because he hates that guy. So the heels attack to start it out. Statlander throws Nyla into Ford for a spear. Statlander misses a top rope splash. She goes for a Pele kick and clothesline on Nyla. Shida is in with a missile drop kick and a suplex for a 2 count on Penelope Ford. Shida kick to the back of Ford's head. Standing moonsault for a 2 count. Ford does the Matrix move and then stunner on Chris Statlander. Shida with the avalanche suplex. Chris with the axe kick on Nyla for a 2 count. Nyla goes for the beast bomb with Ford springboard. But what ends up happening, Ford gets pulled down by Chris Statlander on the outside. Then Shida hits a Shining Wizard on Nyla. Goes for the Falcon Arrow on Ford, only for a 2 count. Kip tries to grab Shida's ankles. Chris Statlander with a suicide dive on Kip. While this is happening, Ford hits Shida with the belt, then the Fisherman suplex for the win. So the heels go over here. Obviously, they're really pushing Penelope Ford now, which I really enjoy. Chris Statlander and Shida are fine. I have no problem with the faces taking the loss here. It gives them something to go for. Obviously, they had to win by shenanigans, so it doesn't take anything away. Nyla is still a beast. She hit the double knee drop against both of them, which I thought was pretty wild. I might have forgotten to put that in there. But she had them both draped over and hit both of them. That was pretty impressive. So we get Darby Allin vignette. He's still not medically cleared to wrestle, but Tony Hawk said he's cleared to skate. Obviously, they have some kind of prior relationship, as Darby used to be a professional skateboarder. So he's trying to do this move off a ladder, kind of like maybe like an ollie or something. I'm just using the only jargon of skateboarding I can remember. So he keeps doing it off the ladder, finally is able to hit it, and he does in slow motion, high fives Tony Hawk, and that's pretty much it. We then get another Britt Baker vignette, not as good as last week's, but she kind of goes over what makes her a role model, and then she starts talking trash on Big Swole. Hasn't had the struggles that she's had, like an unexpected microbiology exam, which she aced, by the way. So I think they're setting up here, obviously. I mean, it's not like I'm really speculating anything too crazy, is that Swole and Britt Baker will have a match against each other. I assume at All Out, because she said that she'll be ready by All Out, and I think Fyter Fest is obviously too soon. They did have a really good back and forth, and I keep going back to this on Dynamite once, when she called her Miss, and she said, "I'm Mrs., you're a Miss, baby." So they were going over and kind of just hitting each other with each other's significant others. We then get a 6-man tag. We get Jake Hager with Santana Ortiz versus the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. The ending of this match was absolutely hysterical. We get a picture-in-picture recap from last week. Inner Circle go on the attack before the bell. Hanger beats up Cassidy on the ramp. Santana on Trent for a while. Big Saito suplex on Santana by Trent. Soul Food half and half combination on Ortiz. We get a suicide dive by Trent on Hager. Tope con Hero by Chuck on the other two. Trent hits a spear on Ortiz, one of the best spears in the game, just really good. They start making fun of, on commentary, they're making fun of Trent for losing his last name. So obviously his name was Trent Beretta, but for some reason they got rid of it. I don't know, it's because Beretta gun, I don't know. So we get sit down powerbomb, kick in the face, Hager bomb combination on Chuck, only for a 2 count. So it was really impressive there. Tornado DDT by Trent on Ortiz. We get the hot tag to Cassidy, and by hot tag I mean he barely put his arm out. I'm like sinking in this chair. I gotta get a good chair. So he does the standoff with Hager. Does a double Rana on Santana and Ortiz. Huge suicide dive on Hager. Tilt-a-whirl DDT on Santana back in the ring. Santana does a cannonball senton to Cassidy in the corner. Sweet Streeper attempt is broken up by Chuck. Cassidy rolls up Ortiz in the confusion with that special kind of pinning combination he does on Ortiz for the win. Jericho leaves commentary and joins the attack on all three of them. He grabs a bag of oranges. There's one like large bag, and then for some reason they have one smaller bag. Cassidy gets busted open because also Jericho's using the bat that he's been bringing around. He then hits Cassidy in the head with the bag of oranges. Says Cassidy, gets on the mic, says Cassidy's just been juiced. And then Jericho dumps all the oranges on him, takes a bite out of one, which is a little weird. And that's how that segment ends. So obviously this feud between Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, and the Inner Circle is not over. Obviously it's going to lead to a Cassidy-Jericho match, which would be phenomenal. So Tony's about to interview Billy Gunn on the outside when MJF interrupts. Says he's been undefeated for a year, has the Dynamite ring, and he's been ranked number 1 for several weeks. And Jungle Boy gets a shot before him. He's pretty pissed off about that. He says he's a great white shark. Billy says he's a great white, which I thought, phrasing. Maybe don't say you're a great white, which I thought was funny, but whatever. MJF says he should try getting another one of his scumbag sons a job at AEW, which I think was pretty funny, cutting deep there. He then, as Billy Gunn starts to step in, Wardlow steps in between them, and that segment ends. So obviously, and we find out later, there's going to be a match between them. Sammy Guevara versus Colt Cabana, both need a win. We get a recap of Colt with the Dark Order. Colt pushes Sammy's cart off the ramp, which is pretty mean. He does. We get in the ring Colt with a head scissors. Sammy pulls Colt out, does a top corkscrew, which is pretty impressive. Flying apple by Colt, and then for a 2 count, top rope moonsault by Colt for dirt. I don't even know what that is. For a 2 count, maybe. Colt slips on the ropes while he's trying to do something. That gives Sammy the opportunity to do GTS for the win. The Dark Order music hits. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson are back finally, and they're with everyone, including Brody Lee. Lee helps Colt up when they all leave. Colt looks really confused. He leaves via the same entrance tube as Dark Order. I don't find that anything significant, but the commentary did. Sammy asks to play his music. Matt Hardy comes out. He says he sees himself in Sammy. Matt says he needs to get away from Jericho, though. And then all of a sudden he's saying, you tried to kill me, that's a fact. And then we get the matter of fact shtick going on. Says to shut up, and then Matt turns into Damascus. So they just keep going through all these different, the many faces of Matt, which I think is pretty funny. We then get a vignette of Joey Janela. He's at a bar. Says he's faded away since coming to AEW. His best moments are behind him. And we then get the TV playing that clip of him jumping off the roof from the, what was it called? I forget what it is, but it's him jumping off the roof of a building into a truck with another guy. It was pretty insane. Sonny Kiss pulls up, driving a really sick car, picks him up, and then we get a to be continued. So we know obviously they've been teaming on Dark a bunch, so we'll see, what we're doing there. Then we get Dasha finds Cole backstage, who ends up going into the Dark Order's room or Brody Lee's dressing room. I didn't see what was on the sign there. We then get told for next week some of the stuff that's going on. MJF versus Billy Gunn. We get the tag title match between National Nightmares and Kenny and Paige. TNT Championship match with whoever wins the match tonight. We don't know who though. The Sex Gods versus, which is Sammy and Chris Jericho versus Best Friends, and somehow Best Friends were tricked into putting up their number 1 contender match, which would be really annoying if they lose because I think they deserve it. And then we get Kip and Havoc versus the Young Bucks for some tag team action. We then get Alex Marvez meeting with Mox in the parking lot. Obviously, shocking, Mox is in a bad mood. He's got no time for people who run their mouths, speaking about Taz. Mox says he's one miserable son of a bitch. Taz comes out, confronts him. They're jawing at each other, and then you see in the distance Cage just sprinting with no shirt on. Sneak attacks Mox. Mox goes for a pipe, swings, misses, hits a car window. Taz says, as Cage gets the upper hand, finally he tells Cage to stop because it looks like he's going to powerbomb him on the concrete. Cage said at first looks like he's going to acquiesce, but then changes his mind, picks him up, and then long darts him into the back of the car where the window shatters. We get an interview with Cody talking about his wins, his open challenge. We then get our main event. We get Cody versus Mark Quinn for the TNT title match. It sounds like we got new music for Private Party. Comes out with Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy, but they go to the back. Obviously they're not expecting any kind of shenanigans here by Cody. So they're trading strikes to start. Standing moonsault by Quinn for a 1 count. Cody goes for a surfboard with the Dragon Sleeper combo. The ankle of Quinn is injured. We think that it's kind of related to last week when he did the tope and hurt his ankle. Cody uses that distraction from ref Aubrey Edwards that's tending to Quinn to take advantage. Quinn with a super sliced bread from the top rope. He then hits a middle rope moonsault, then a standing moonsault for a 2 count. He does a corkscrew float over DDT for a 2 count, which looked ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it before. He does a tope splash, then a tope con hero, then a tope corkscrew just out of the ring. He's going over each as Cody makes his way around the ring. Quinn hits a 450 on the ramp, which looked brutal. Looked great, but looked brutal. Connects just pure right on the ramp. He goes for a shooting star press, but it misses. Cody goes, and as he misses, Cody goes straight into an ankle lock and then hits the grapevine for the win. Eventually, Quinn has to to tap out. They're obviously celebrating. They're celebrating, shaking each other's hands, hugging, all that kind of stuff. Then Hager comes out after Private Party leaves. We then get he goes on the attack. He goes to attack Arn first, then Cody. Matt Hardy and Private Party eventually come out because the Inner Circle comes out, and then they come out with chairs. They send Hager out. They send Hager out first, and then the Inner Circle come back behind Hager. The brawl ensues. Hardy hits a Twisted Bliss on Sammy, of course. Cody gets on the mic as they clear house and say, "It looks like I know what you want. You want a TNT title match at Fyter Fest." He says, "Well, you got it." So obviously, Cody's gonna keep retaining until Fyter Fest, where it's only a few weeks away. So they'll be able to. I'm sure they'll figure it out. I don't know who the TNT title match is going to be against this week. I'm sure it might have been already there. So that is Dynamite, and that is everything that went on in AEW for the week. As always, I give my match of the week. My match of the week goes to the match between Cody and Mark Quinn. Obviously, Private Party has been making a lot of moves, making a lot of splashes so far in AEW. This was no exception. Mark Quinn really showed himself out there, was able to hang with one of the best, in Cody, and just pull out moves that I haven't seen before. And even if he was kayfabe, nursing an injury, for him to go toe to toe like that with Cody was really impressive. Made them look great. I love their association with Matt Hardy now. It really elevates them even more than they already have been. So I really enjoyed the match, and so that is my AEW weekend review for the 8th of June. Lucky number 8. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. All that other stuff. You can find my social media down there. I have my WWE weekend review to do. I also, because this weekend will be Backlash, I'll be doing my previews video and also my review recap. And I'll be doing my first special movie review of Judd Apatow's and Pete Davidson's The King of Staten Island. Hits a little close to home, so I will be doing that hopefully this week sometime, so look out for that as well. Trying to expand the portfolio of the channel. So as always, stay safe, love each other, and bye now. You have failed this YouTube channel. That's a little harsh, don't you think? Failed? I don't know. I wouldn't say failed. How many YouTube subscribers do you have? How many views per video? I mean, it's all about, the quality of it, not necessarily the quantity, right? Quality? You're using Funkos for stupid skits. You're calling that quality? Fuck you, then. You're not even on the air anymore. So, who cares? Yeah, well, call me when you get 8 years worth of content. You got me there. You got me.